to Simpler. We are three pastors, husbands, and fathers on a journey to make life simpler by holding Jesus as the core for every belief and practice. This journey has shaped us to be more like Christ, freed us from the shame of failure, and encouraged us to a deeper love of our Lord and God. We invite you to join us in the discussions that have shaped and continue to shape our lives.
All right, so I called you guys this week and just said I think we should record a special episode just to have a response to Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's a lot of thoughts. I know that a lot of people have a lot of things going through their heads and are feeling a lot of things. So anyways, I just thought it'd be a smart idea for us to kind of get together. We haven't really talked much through this before recording, just so everybody knows. So this is just kind of like off the cuff to some degree. It's been a few days now. We're recording this. What is today? Friday?
Yeah.
Recording this on Friday.
So it's been almost 48 hours.
So a lot has come out since then.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do this. Ryan, will you give us kind of update so far on the things you've read on like where we're at?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what you want exactly, but as of this morning, they're saying that they are pretty sure they have the suspect in custody. This is the third one that they've said that about. So at this point, we don't know if that's actually the case or not. The guy's name was, I think, Tyler Robinson. He was turned in by his father because they had been circulating the last 24 hours or so a photo of a person of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's father recognized it and told his pastor or minister or whatever who passed it on to the FBI. And so this is the third person. They had a guy the day of that they let go by that evening. And so I think as of right now in the recording of this that people are kind of going, well, we'll wait and see for a few hours. But I would imagine at the very least he is the person of interest that they had been searching for, and he is now in FBI custody. So
here's my thought. I just want to kind of, I mean, I'm sure everybody's seen that, but let me just give you guys some of my thoughts up front, and then we can roll with whatever. I think first of all, I think it's really, I forget how long ago it was when, I'm sure you guys saw this post, when someone asked Charlie, like like, what do you want to be remembered for, like overall? And he said, I want to be remembered for my faith, something like that. So I think in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of the tragedy, the thing that gives me comfort and joy and peace is knowing that, I mean, obviously we can't know his heart, but like this is a dude who proclaimed Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's incredibly sad in the sense of him being gone, and in the sense of like why this chaos happened the way it did. But it's not sad in terms of knowing that his faith seemed to have rested in Jesus. It's sad that his wife and kids don't have him anymore. But it's not sad that we know where he's at. So I think it's important to remember. I think at the forefront,
we don't grieve as those who have no hope.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: I hear people. I've heard or saw people. I haven't heard this. I saw people posting, I feel so bad for Charlie. Listen, Charlie doesn't feel bad right now.
Right.
So I think people need to remember that. Like, because of his faith in Jesus, this is not a sad day for Charlie.
Right.
And I know that if his wife had the same perspective he had, she's obviously suffering right now, like struggling through the chaos of losing your husband, especially in such a tragic and grotesque way. But there's gonna be there's gonna be a sense in her somewhere in the midst of all the chaos that her hope still rests in Jesus. And so I want to set that as in the forefront. This is before we get to any of the political stuff. I don't think he was a martyr for his faith.
No,
I think that it's a part of it, but it wasn't like they didn't say, here's a Christian, I'm going to kill him. Right. This is a little bit different than, or maybe a lot different, but it's different. I'll just say it's different than
Polycarp, Stephen,
John Huss. These kind of guys that are literally killed because of their faith in Jesus solely. It's just a little bit more messy this time around. But I do think that it's important for us to remember that This is a dude who loved Jesus.
Did you see the clip that's going around where the guy asked him and said, if I've been shot and I have 30 seconds left to live, what are you telling me? And he said, I would tell you, well, you're about to enter into judgment and you're about to stand before God. And the only way you can stand righteous before him is to believe in his son, Jesus, whom he sent to, he just presents the gospel. And I got a text yesterday, somebody asking me, what do you think? Like, was he a Christian or not? And I was like, based on just the volume of statements that he's made about Jesus, the importance of faith in Jesus, his faith in Jesus, Jesus's death and resurrection, I come to the conclusion that he is that he's somebody
it's
who
hard to say he's not.
That rightly professed who Jesus was.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you guys will probably both agree with this based on some clips we've seen. I think there's some theological stuff we would land differently than Charlie Kirk on, especially the law, especially his take on the implication of the Old Testament as a whole in our lives today, not in terms of like a wisdom encouragement, but like the Old Testament says this, we live by it. And I don't know if this is true. I saw something that referenced him going to Driscoll's church, which would then make a lot of sense in terms of him having those viewpoints.
Yes.
So, but I also don't think Driscoll's not a believer.
Yeah, we just don't care for his approach.
Right. Yeah, I think he's a dick, but I don't think he's not. There's nothing that to me that says like, hey, this dude doesn't have faith in Jesus. So in the midst of there were things that I would disagree with Charlie on theologically that like I've seen some clips of debates he's having with people, and I'm like, bro, I wouldn't go that direction. But it's, to your point, it's still a dude, even in the midst of our disagreements, who proclaimed Jesus.
Yeah.
So I'm going to celebrate what
rightly proclaimed what salvation was.
Yeah. So I'm going to celebrate his conversations about the gospel.
Yeah. If we weren't friends with everybody that we disagreed with theologically, we wouldn't have.
That's true.
It'd be the three of us.
Well, to be fair,
and Britain and a couple of others.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think there's a lot of people who don't want to be friends with us because of their disagreements with us theologically.
But that's not our perspective of them.
And I think that's one of the things I appreciated about Charlie is it seemed like he was willing to have conversations and relationships with people that even he disagreed with. Like I heard, there's some few guys I listened to their podcasts right afterwards. One was Tim Pool, Timcast, and he was telling a story. He has done some stuff with Charlie in the past, doesn't know Charlie really well, but has been on some big stages with him. And he's said, he goes, Charlie and I disagreed on a lot of political stuff. Like Tim is kind of a classical liberal. Like they would disagree on like gay marriage, disagree on abortion. Tim Pool doesn't land where Charlie lands on that stuff. But Tim said that one time Charlie asked, their team asked the Timcast people to come be part of this event, and Tim told Charlie's team, I don't know if we can do it because then we won't be able to do our show at this time. So Charlie's team built a studio for them at wherever they were going to so that they could still do their Timcast show while they were at the event. Wow. And he said that Charlie personally stayed to make sure that everything was working okay before they did their show. Like, here's a dude, Tim Pool, who doesn't agree with Charlie on everything politically.
Yeah.
And Charlie is rolling out the red carpet.
Yeah.
It just seems like this is an
exchange of ideas. Yeah. Like
he's willing, he would sit down with us probably and talk about the differences in our theological
perspective of the law.
And you know what's funny? I noticed this in watching a lot of the clips, rewatching a lot of the clips. And this is Micah's take. The reason people get so offended by Charlie is because they're insecure. Insert adjective, whatever you want there. Like they're saying he's being mean. He's being incredibly cordial. He's to the point. He's direct.
Exactly right.
And as someone who suffers from the same thing, I can tell you the reason people think I'm mean is not because I'm actually being mean or angry or brutal. It's because I'm being to the point and direct.
Well, but also we've come to the place in our culture where disagreement is categorized now as hate.
Yeah.
And so, which is such a stupid thing.
I disagree.
Yeah. But it's such a stupid thing because the left will say, oh, well, Charlie was against abortion. Charlie was against same-sex marriage. That's hate. Charlie didn't believe that transgenderism was a thing. Like it's false, it's a false narrative. And they go, that's all hate speech. And yet none of the left condemns themselves for falling into the same camp, right? So they don't like the right, they hate the right, they disagree with the right, but that's not hate speech. And so it's like your position's inconsistent.
Absolutely.
And so
yes.
So get to the place where like one of the things, because I don't know that I'm sort of indifferent on him. Like he wasn't in my daily feed, but I would see his videos from time to time because of just the kind of stuff that I would watch online. Like I would argue 3 or 4 days a week, he popped up in my feed. And then once he pops up in your feed and you watch one, you'd get more.
Yeah.
And so I'd been watching him off and on for probably a year and a half. And he is very direct, but he also asks questions. And he's like, so like, what's your basis for that? Like, what's your basis for this? You know? And so this is the Dunning-Kruger effect again, but the people that he's debating, the Dunning-Kruger effect means that you feel more confident about what you know than you actually should be because you don't actually know very much. So people would step up to the mic, not knowing very much, just having their kind of their script. And they would throw their script at him. He's done this since he was 17, 18. He started Turning Point when he was 19, right? So he's been doing this for 14 years. He's been doing it formally 12 years. He's had thousands of these conversations. He already knows your script. And he already has a response to it. But the moment you step up with your script and he rips your script to pieces, now you feel stupid because you are.
And you feel like he's been mean. And all he did was have an honest conversation with you.
And show you the fallacy in your thinking.
Well, and the struggle people have, to my point earlier, is it's their insecurity that drives them to that place. Listen, confidence only comes from one of two places. It either comes from a place of confidence or a place of insecurity.
Right.
And you can tell the difference because an insecure person is arrogant. A confident person's not arrogant. So that's what you see is like the arrogant pricks who get up and and call him out like that are the people who don't actually know what they're talking about. And that's what I think that's what is. Let me divert this conversation a little bit so we don't talk too much about that because I'd love to spend some more time on a believer's response. I see this in the church. I see the same kind of perspective creeping into the church of what you mentioned a second ago about like a disagreement is hate, or I see and I don't think it's a new thing.
No.
I mean, I don't know if people recognize this, but the reason we have denominations, it's from the Latin word of a name. De nome, I think is the Latin, but it's people were physically fighting over theological disagreement. So they began to separate into groups that were following the person, like a name, the person who was leading, so that they would divvy into groups who like tended to agree more. So they would quit fighting. The whole point of denominations is because people were physically fighting. We've mentioned this before. Calvin and that whole crew, they were putting people to death because of their disagreement over infant baptism. This is not a new thing. What I see now though is it is rearing its ugly head in that people are mad about disagreements in conversation. They're using modern day progressive rhetoric like this is hate speech. And I'll tell you this is the warning. This is my warning for everybody. If you let the enemy creep into your life like that, you need to be aware that you're letting the enemy creep into your life like that. That this is the unity we have in the body comes by the Spirit, not by our agreement. Not by our ability to reconcile conversations of disagreement with people, but it's by the Spirit. There are people like me who are going to come into a conversation confident. And I know that makes 99% of people uncomfortable. But if that uncomfortability makes you hate me or dislike me, dislike me is fine. If you hate me as a brother in Christ because I'm confident, you've let the enemy creep in. That's what I'm saying. I'm using me as a personal example, not because I'm trying to build me up, just kind of, I know that I'm the outcast here. I'm the anomaly in most of, you guys have mentioned this before. Like, there's rarely a time, Ryan, you know the Bible better than any of us, but you have said before, there's times you feel like you're not the stronger person in the conversation about theology just because of my personality, right? It's not because I know more than you about the scripture. It's because how I come across. Because I'm going to come across as confident. And so or even flip it, if I view someone who is weak in conversation and I dislike them or hate them, sorry, I keep using that, it's bad. If I hate those people because they're incapable of having a reasonable conversation, I have let the enemy creep into the body. Does that make sense? And that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid, listen, I know even some of you listening, we have different political, you have a different political opinion than me.
Mm-hmm.
If that's a dividing point between us, there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's my point. If the church can't look at this and say, this is
they've made politics higher than Christ.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's my. I'm gonna have. We can talk about this in a second. I have strong thoughts politically on what happened,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
but that's not more important than Jesus.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I can have responses. I think that's maybe my thought in this. Is like I want people to feel. I don't want them to feel the tension over those two things. I want them to be able to say, "I am a follower of Jesus first and foremost, regardless of what's going on in the world around me."
Yeah.
Which then frees me to express my opinion about stuff going on in the world without it being the thing that defines me and identifies me.
Yeah.
What I'm afraid will happen is that there will be so much division over this because of political differences. I'll be honest, and this might change in a few months. This might just be my heightened emotions right now. So I'm acknowledging this.
Mm-hmm.
If someone I know personally said, "Oh, he got what he deserved," it's probably going to be a pretty harsh response from me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just made a premise.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't freaking defend that premise, I don't have, right now I have zero grace, zero filters, and zero patience for that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that might be because of my heightened emotions at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
but I have a feeling that that's going to last a while
Yeah.
because of this. So that's what I mean. It doesn't mean I'm going to hate somebody over that, but you're probably going to hate me after that conversation.
Yeah.
So what I'm afraid of is that people are going to put politics first. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm not sure exactly how to instruct people how to not do that in conversation. So I'm trying to set the premise up front. Like, our hope is in Jesus.
Yeah.
Charlie seems to be someone who put his faith in Jesus, which means he's with Jesus.
Yeah.
So we're happy for that.
Mm-hmm.
We're sad about this situation, but our hope ultimately remains in Jesus. My hope for the world is that they know Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that I let the world do whatever the hell they want to do.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. That was one of the day that it happened, I was tempted in the moment just to run with the thought of these freaking radicals, this left wing, just kind of the first emotional response of just this distaste, this anger and annoyance. And that was one of the first things I prayed about was just we don't know who it is. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's happening. Just from a logical standpoint, don't categorize people. But more importantly, from a Christ standpoint, I don't need to categorize and hate a whole group of people based off this. My goal and my aim should be Jesus. And then I began to pray, how do I, God, work with me to process this response, right?
You mean hate?
I do mean I think I mean hate. I think at least to the point of division, screw these people type of stuff.
Okay.
Even if
can we talk about the difference in that? Because I think that's kind of where I want to go with this.
Let's walk
Did
through
you see
that.
Did you see the video of I forget what the group's called? I think it was in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
They were singing, "We got Charlie in the neck, in the neck."
Golly.
And they were just a bunch of people singing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wickedness.
I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how you graciously walk up to a group of people
That's
like
true.
that.
It's very true.
And hey, can I talk to you?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
No, yeah. That's kind of what I was praying, was just I don't feel like the response of tension, anger, or whatever is wrong. I think I just didn't want it to spiral into hate, of kind of what you're saying. Of just
I think
does that make sense?
Yeah. So that might actually, that's a great way to say it, because I think that might be the distinction.
Mm-hmm. The response isn't wrong.
Did you see the video of the dude who got pushed into the fountain?
Yeah, I didn't see the whole video. I saw here's a picture of him before, and here's a video of him walking out.
He had a sign that said Charlie got what he deserved.
Yeah, it prove me wrong or whatever. He was trying to
someone just pushed him threw him in the, so
yeah, what a dumb place to set up.
That's what I mean is I think there's the tension I think a lot of Christians feel is, how do I express my opinion about my distaste for that kind of action in the world without expressing hate?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I think a lot of Christians are too cowardly about it. I think that they're saying we can't misrepresent Jesus, so we're going to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's the response.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So that I don't know if I could tell someone individually, here's how you walk up or see a group that's singing that crazy "We got Charlie in the neck" thing, or see the responses online that are celebrating his death. I'm not saying we're not saying you should just be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah.
Because I think you can have a response to those people that is a distaste for that, and at the same time still have a heart for Jesus.
Yeah.
But I don't think having a heart for Jesus means you let people get away with whatever they want to get away with. Here's what I thought. I was thinking about this today. Practically, to be consistent, if that was my case, that for me to represent Jesus well, I should just basically let people do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
You should stop locking the door of your house and you should leave your doors open, including your safe with all your stuff in it.
Yeah.
And you should let your wife just be available for whoever wants to come in and do whatever they want to do. And you should let your kids be available for someone to take.
You have to be, you'd have to be in favor of abortion as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Like, because if the attitude is like, well, you can't say something to people like they have, that's just how they are. Like if you dismiss it, then you have to dismiss it across the board.
Yes. That's a great point. Because that one's easier than just like leaving your house. Saying I'm okay with abortion.
Yeah.
Or
I think
murder in general.
Well, I was gonna say the whole week, this whole week. So the young woman from the Ukraine who was murdered on the subway. Yeah. The day that Charlie was shot, this got overshadowed. Overshadowed this, but there was a school shooting in Denver.
Yep, saw that.
And it's one of those things that like everybody's going, man, what is going on? There was in June, there was a far right wing guy, prepper guy, who had a list of 70 names. He was in Massachusetts, maybe, I forget. Anyway.
Right wing guy in Massachusetts.
I forget where he was. He was northeast somewhere.
Gotcha.
And he went. He made a list of Democratic people, showed up as a police officer at their house, and gunned them down.
Golly.
Wait, is this one in Minnesota?
Minnesota. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you. And so like he had a list of 70 people. And
there's point on that real quick.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Even with the Charlie thing, I'm not sure we can believe any of the narratives. Like, this is a complete side note, but I think it's important. The gun they found in the woods that they're saying is the one that was used to kill Charlie had on the ammo pro-trans and anti-fascist words on the ammo.
Yeah.
The same thing apparently was the school shooting in Minnesota, or the church school shooting in Minnesota.
Yeah.
The dude who killed the two Democratic, or I guess the lady was the Democratic politician in Minnesota, and it was her and her husband, and he's this far right wing guy with like, those are both really far extremes, and they're literally as part of me that having read so much in the last year about please don't slough me off for this, about the history that can be tied to how the central bankers have spearheaded a lot of this stuff.
Well,
that's what I mean. There's part of me that goes, I don't believe any of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's probably a safer place to be.
I feel like
to be super skeptical of all the headlines.
I feel like the point is to make the U.S. divided.
Yes.
So I showed this to you guys years ago. I was 2019.
Easier to control.
Yeah, 2020. Jess actually sent it to me. It was I think everybody's probably seen this by now, but there was the former Soviet Union spy who was saying that the Soviet Union had a 20-year plan to wreck the U.S. and laid it out. And we're in that plan right now. And so how do people forget about that? That this has been the plan of the enemies of the United States to crumble us, so that's what I mean is I actually, to your point, Pierce, I feel distaste for people who act like that. But that's someone in the moment I can see singing "We Got Charlie in the Neck."
Yeah.
I don't have any idea if it's true that the person who shot Charlie is a pro-trans far leftist. I don't have any idea if the dude who killed the people in Minnesota is a far right guy. I don't have any idea if those are true or not.
There's a part of me that feels like whoever they put forward, it's was it McVeigh with the Oklahoma City bombing?
There's a bunch of question marks about that too.
Right. So like it's
Kennedy assassination. They said forever. You see what I'm saying?
You almost feel like they're just going to put somebody forward to quiet the noise for a little bit.
Yeah.
And but to your point a moment ago, because we can get into all sorts of conspiracy stuff.
I'm not super interested in that. I just wanted to make a point that
I know,
because I don't want people to go over the deep end on assuming that it's left or right.
Well, I don't know why anybody would completely trust any news outlet. Period. Like
agreed.
If you don't assume that they have an agenda, like you have not been paying attention.
Right.
But to your point, we're not trying to be political about this. We're trying to go, how do we navigate this world as believers?
Yes. Yeah.
And when you see people, when you with your own eyes are seeing that people are doing this and behaving this way, there is a disgust to it. And I think there is a need for us to stand up against that.
Yeah.
But also I saw a lot of Christian friends and acquaintances post a lot of political stuff the day of and the day after. And I think I have about 15 people that probably would care what I say about it. but my attitude is, even with my Facebook posts, is like, I'm a shepherd. I'm supposed to I'm supposed to point people somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I thought really long and hard about how to respond to that. So because I didn't want it to be a politicized thing. I didn't want it to be about the right versus the left or Democrats.
What you said or the Charlie thing?
I didn't want what I said to be a politically divisive or us against them from that perspective, because how do we think about this as Christians? So here's what I wrote yesterday. So this was 24 hours after it had happened. I said, there is no culturally agreed upon definition of what love actually is, meaning it changes based on an individual's perspective and experience. Therefore, it cannot be a standard. But in God, we find the source of all love. There is no culturally agreed upon definition of what makes something good, meaning that good changes based on an individual's pleasures and whims. Therefore, it cannot be a standard. But God is good and does good. There are no culturally agreed upon definitions for forgiveness, justice, or mercy, meaning those perspectives are left to be shaped by our cultures, clans, politics, and the blowing of the wind. Therefore, that cannot be the standard. But in God alone, there is everlasting forgiveness, unbridled justice, and boundless mercy. We, faithful followers of Christ, must remember to stand in the wellspring of the truth of God when we fight our battles, and not in the shifting ground of cultural relativism. It is not our way of life that is under attack, but the very gospel of Jesus as the sole way, truth, and life. There is no other name given under heaven among men by which we must be saved. So just trying to remind people that we stand in Christ, not cultural relativism based off of today's circumstances. And I think that with a week like this past week, punctuated with the Charlie Kirk assassination, I think it has the ability, wrongly, but I think it has the ability to push Christians into first political activism. I'm not saying you can't have a political stance or be an active voice in your community or whatever, but I think it pushes people first into political activism rather than thinking about how do we behave as followers of Christ. Colin Honey posted a great video. I saw it this morning. I don't know if he posted it last night or not, but he was reading Romans and he said, listen, he goes, he was a huge fan of Charlie Kirk. And he was like, man, he goes, this is sad and this is hard. And he goes, but I want to remind you of something before you get too far out there. He goes, Christ died for Charlie Kirk and Christ died for me and Christ died for you and Christ died for whoever the shooter is. And we have to remember that Christ's blood covers all sin. And before we get too caught up in this, we need to remember who Christ is and what his blood supplies. And he just talked about forgiveness. And he pointed to Romans 5:8, that God demonstrated his own love for us. And while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. And it was just about a 3-minute video. It was amazing. And he just pointed to Jesus and that Christ is still the source of forgiveness and life. And that has to be the response.
He's going to make a really good president someday.
He's going to be amazing, dude. But that has to be the direction.
You're right. And I think it's a great way. I was going to say, I love that you said it, our behavior has to come first from who we are in Christ. And I think and this is probably what I was trying to get to, when that's the case, when our life rests in Jesus and our behavior is filtered out of that relationship with Jesus with the point of our life glorifying Jesus and everything we do, then you can talk about the other stuff. You guys know this about me. It pisses me off that this perspective of followers of Jesus is that they're weak and that they're cowards and that they won't do anything. Especially with some of my personality. I'm like, I'm running headlong into the fight. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure I could tell you that I wouldn't run headlong into the fight if I walked by a group of people singing We got Charlie in the neck.
Did you see the guy on, I don't remember what news station he was with, but he was like, and he cussed on air, and he was like,
oh, there's a bunch of it. You talking about Greg Gutfeld?
Maybe so, but he was like, you think you silenced a voice.
Yeah, it was him.
He goes, all you did was wake us the blank up.
Yeah.
And he was
that
like,
was on Fox live. Everybody was like,
yeah. And he was like, all you did is just, and he's sitting back in his chair, like, and he's just like, all you did was wake us up.
Yep. Ben Shapiro cussed for the first time on air this week. It was apparently a someone. Oh yeah. Someone was like had a joke with him like, "What's it going to take to get you to cuss?" I'm doing my best to try to get you to cuss on air. And he the very end of his statement was basically to all you far leftists, F you is what he said. So here's my. Can I give you my personal thoughts? Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah.
For me, I think this is probably shocking to people. I'm actually not a fan of the death penalty anymore. I don't know if we've talked about this. I don't agree with the premise actually that Charlie Kirk had of the death penalty, because he's like, this is mandated in the scriptures. Well, Charlie,
right? Yeah, you're using Genesis 9 pre-grace, pre-cross. Yeah.
This is like, there's so many inconsistencies with that case, and so like we would disagree. And I'm not sure that there would be a reconciliation for us biblically on that. I think we'd probably just have to say neither one of us are going to agree on that. Because I share Cullen's heart that the blood of Jesus covers the shooter as well. Ultimately, what I want for that shooter, as much as my emotion wants to say, just kill the dude. That's what my emotion says. Yeah. What I know is this dude needs Jesus. So I want him to know Jesus. Now, I will say this. The power of the gospel doesn't rest in us. The power of the gospel rests in the Spirit. Yeah. So I don't think it's my responsibility to fight for his life. Does that make sense? Like if the Spirit's going to work salvation in him, I don't think that's limited to how much time we give him before he's executed he's going to get executed. Like that's just the case. But the tension, I'm just saying this because the tension in me is I am personally, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but I am personally not a fan of the death penalty, which seems kind of crazy for someone with pretty conservative views like I have, right? Yeah. But this is my point. I can have that conversation. There's like a few of you lefties out there listening to this podcast right now. They're like, thank God Micah finally said something that makes sense. And I'm going to say you guys are still stupid for the majority of the things that you think. Yeah. My opinion on it is that let me just be transparent. I want to fight. That's what this brings up in me. I don't want to fight because I hate these people. I want to fight because I'm sick and tired of this woke nonsense becoming part of our culture. I want to fight because simple things like the gospel has been shrouded in, it's been masked in our culture by this political conversation. I want to fight because I'm sick and tired, and I'm not just talking about fighting leftists. I want to fight. We just did an episode on, I don't know, has it come out yet on Christian nationalism?
That's coming out.
Oh, dang.
Next week. Yeah.
Listen to that episode and see how I feel about those people, right? Like, I'm not talking about leftists. I'm talking about, like, I am sick and tired
Any departure from the gospel.
Yeah. It makes me want to, like, I want to walk into, we'll talk about it, you'll see here in a couple weeks. I want to walk into First Baptist Dallas on a July 4th Sunday and wreck havoc. Yeah. That's me. I'm saying me personally, I'm Nehemiah. I'm ripping the hair out of people's heads because they're being idiots. That's how I feel right now. And even non-believers, I'm probably not going to be okay walking by a group of people singing that.
Yeah.
I might fight.
Yeah.
Because I'm sick and tired of us being, I know this is not everybody. I'm sick and tired of Christian culture being viewed as this like passive Gandhi-like people. When why does me calling someone out for being that much of an like inconsiderate prick? Why is that wrong?
Yeah.
How is that dishonoring to Jesus to call someone out for that?
Yeah.
I'd like to know. If the dude throws a punch at me, why would it be dishonored to Jesus for me to, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone make a case. That's what I'm saying. That's what I feel right now is I'm sick and tired. Yeah, prove me wrong. I'm going to get no one's going to show up. They'll have a prove me wrong thing and everybody's like walking around the outside like, nope, I'm probably not going to go in there. That's how I feel right now. And I know some of it is emotionally charged because you know what part of it is too? My dad left the Philippines because it was an oppressive government.
Yeah.
Two of his friends got shot when they were protesting. And now this kind of crap in the US and it's called tolerant to let this kind of stuff go.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, listen, I want everybody to know Jesus.
Yes.
You guys have probably seen me. Like I've interacted with people who are trans. It's not common around San Angelo. So there are some, but like, it's not common, but like, you're not going to see me like walking up to someone trans and just like spitting hate at them. Right. You're not going to see me treat them badly. I'm still going to treat them with the same perspective of I want you to know Jesus. Almost every school shooter I can think of the last few years has been trans.
Yeah. The percentage is so ridiculously high. Yeah.
At some point I have to go, I need to at least be aware of this.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
The last few stories I can think of violence on trains has been someone that is homeless or looks homeless.
Yeah.
It is probably prudent for me if I'm riding a train in some big city and I see someone that looks like that, it would be prudent for me to sit in an area that is still safe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't mean I hate those people or I don't have a longing for them to know Jesus. It's just kind of like like why would I go through life? If I saw a drunk driver down the highway, I'm not going to drive right next to him and be like, well, I just got to let him do what he's going to do. I'm probably going to move, right? And call the cops. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's where I think it's pissing me off that the left side of the Christians don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you discount that.
Yeah.
If the majority of the school shooters in the recent years have been trans, at what point do you go, okay, there's something going on? I think it's demonic.
Yes.
I think that's what that is. That's why that's the case. We could have a conversation, maybe later about why I think that's the case, but I don't think that it's not demonic.
Well, I think it's demonic in the sense, if this is the only sense it's demonic, I think it's demonic in this sense that for the three of us sitting at this table, the foundation for everything that is true stops at God.
Yes.
And so when people can say, well, I don't believe in, two genders, when people can say, I believe you can be whatever you want to be, when truth becomes relative, there is no backstop for truth. There is no foundation for truth. So an attack on truth, from my perspective, an attack on truth is an attack on God.
Absolutely.
So I would argue that it's demonic. You go all the way back to Genesis 3. This is Satan
changing the truth. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I will say this, that conversation, I think, looks different between two people that are believers and a believer and a non-believer.
Agreed.
So like if I'm having a conversation with a non-believer, I'm not trying to convince them that they are negating the truth of who God is.
No.
I'm going to try to point them towards Jesus.
Well, I'm not going to water down the truth just because they don't believe in Jesus.
But the intention, so the intention's different, right? If I'm talking to someone who's not a believer, my entire goal, even if I'm debating them, is to point them towards Jesus, which I actually think, I don't know if he did it all the time, but I've seen some clips where I thought Charlie did a really good job of just saying that, right?
Sure.
If I'm having this conversation with a believer, and they're like, well, there's not just two genders, you're probably going to leave the conversation with me questioning your salvation, because I'm going to question the premise of your faith.
Right.
Because your point's correct, Ryan, that since Genesis 3, when Satan questioned the truth of what God said, when he asked Adam and Eve, did God really say, don't eat of this?
Yeah.
That is what you're giving into when you start negating the truth of what God has said.
Yeah.
And that's a very dangerous place to be. And I think, honestly, that's why I really struggle with progressive Christianity, and I'm progressive Christians, I should say that. I'm not talking about
progressive, quote unquote, Christianity.
Yeah. I'm not talking about people who have like an opinion on things like universal health care or economics. I'm saying when your politics on, and you're gonna hear this episode on Christian nationalism next week, and you'll hear how I feel about the other side, but I'm saying the same thing to the left. If you're a believer who's so far left that becomes the premise for everything you think, and it's the filter by which you view the world, and the filter's not Jesus, I'm gonna treat you the same way I treat those crazy Christian nationalists, because you're believing a lie of the enemy. So that's why I struggle with people that call themselves, people that call themselves progressive Christians who are like, well, no. There's not just two genders, or I mean, I can go on and on and on with this stuff. And I don't really, you know me, I don't care if you disagree with me. I'm still going to call you out for it.
Absolutely.
Disagree with me all you want.
Yeah.
If you got the nuts to have the conversation, I'm in. I'm literally saying that. I'm in.
Yeah.
But just be ready, because what I'm going to actually question is the premise of your faith.
Which is necessary.
Because what I want from you is to know that you know Jesus.
Absolutely.
But if I'm confident you know Jesus, I'm probably just going to wreck your opinions. And listen, I'm happy to be wrong. I just need to be wrong for another reason than it hurts your feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think people need to wake up from that. I think that there's too many people like you believe a lie and then you don't want to have a conversation with any depth. And to encourage people as well, those of you listening, watching, who will have conversations like this is around specifically Charlie Kirk, political parties, whatever. There's conversations that are all like stemming like crazy because of this event. It's a huge event. In the midst of those conversations centered on Christ, and we've said this a lot in previous episodes, but like being aware and striving to discern with terrible premises of people making statements or making things, especially, I mean, calling out believers and how they're deferring from going away from Christ, or within a conversation with non-believers, making your goal and your aim Jesus. But I have seen, you're exactly right, I've seen people who proclaim the name of Jesus who have taken a lie and just ran with it, and it has taken deep root in their heart of how they view the world, of how they view others, and it has brought about nothing but hate and confusion. I've had conversations with one couple in particular that I'm thinking of, that every time I brought it back to Christ, yeah, but these people did this. Yeah, but these people did this. Yeah, but you don't know what they said. I don't care what any of those people said. I could give a rip, dude. I don't care at all. Come back to Christ. If Christ is the foundation of truth and you can't have a conversation about that, then whoever the people you're talking about, their foundation's faulty. And also so is yours. You have this huge high ground right now. You think you have this huge high ground, but actually all you're doing is digging yourself in a hole, ignoring the reality of the light of Jesus Christ that can breathe into all of these things, clarity and discernment. But you are so broken, quote unquote broken, and now prideful by the world around you that you feel like you have to create truth or create a mock Jesus in the midst of this, instead of actually turning to him because you're so scared that you yourself will be broken in the midst of this.
Yes.
It's so stupid whenever Jesus is right there. This is an explanation I gave to Hannah earlier this week about another thing going on, not specifically about this, but I think it speaks life into it, is that like there's so many people in our lives that we've known that we have had conversation after conversation after conversation about the gospel and done nothing but speak truth and love and grace, even if it's on the surface harsh or if it's on the surface soft, it's still truth and love and grace in the midst of the conversation. And it's as if we had a silver platter and was like, here's everything you could ever want or need found in Christ. Here's everything you could ever want and need. Take it. And they say, no, I'm good. And they sprint away. And now their life is bearing the fruit of that decision of turning their back on Christ. And they're going, why, God, why? And it's like you spat in the truth of Jesus. Like it was there. All you had to do was let go. And he said, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And
because it's arrogance. It's self-centered. They've believed the lie that they're the sinner.
Well, so we've talked a little bit and you've touched on it. I think that people expect guys like us to attack the hard left and be like, I can't believe you're, cause like you said, they're singing a song about Charlie Kirk being shot. But to your point, the Christian nationalist, kind of the other side of that. So I've seen a couple of posts from Christians that like almost idolized Charlie, like to the point where these Christian posts. So our friend Britton, right? He did a really great post and he was like, man, I've only watched a few of his videos. I don't know why I'm feeling so sad. Maybe I'm feeling so sad about the injustice in the world. Maybe I'm sad that a wife has lost her husband and these daughters have lost their father. He goes, what I know is I've been praying that God help my heart to be broken for what breaks yours. And I find myself sad more often in the injustice of the world, just in general. And so he's just sharing these things. And a Christian person responded, you'll go see it later on his Facebook page, but a Christian person responded and said, because he said, I've only seen a small handful of videos. So this Christian person responded, your only interaction with Charlie Kirk has been watching, quote, a small handful of videos. Have a seat, Britton. And
what does that mean?
Like you don't have a voice in the conversation because you've only watched Charlie Kirk's videos a few times.
How can he not express his opinions?
Right. So then he said, can I not be sad about this? And the person responded, yes, you can be sad. You should be. I've cried all day. But you should be the most sad that your legacy, to Britton, our pastor buddy, your legacy this far is that you spend all your time watching cooking videos and fantasy football tips while the gospel was preached on college campuses. A good man was martyred and you had no idea about any of it.
What in the world?
What do you mean you didn't have an idea?
Who is this person?
And then she goes on to say,
Oh, it's a lady?
yeah, she goes on to say, Revelation 3 says, because you're lukewarm, God will spew you out of his mouth. So now she's saying that Britton isn't even a believer. And I will tell you, there have been a couple of times this week. This was one of them that I wanted to get on Facebook and just go.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's a Christian
that makes me, all right, the singing Charlie, we got Charlie in the neck. That makes me mad.
Yeah.
This is a gazillion times more.
right. Because
I try to make up a new word every time.
well, but it goes back to what you were saying earlier. This is causing division in the body.
Absolutely.
Well, no. I don't.
Go.
Maybe. I think this is someone who is outside the body.
Okay. But
This
thinks they're in.
That what pisses me off more than anything is the work of the enemy inside the church from the outside. It's the people who
Play it knowing Christ.
Okay, let me back up. Maybe she doesn't know Jesus. What she's saying is not gospel.
No.
It's okay, maybe she's just misunderstanding the text. I'll give her that, right?
Revelation 3, sure. A lot of people
Either way, she's saying something that's not true.
and she's making it about you don't have a right to talk about my Charlie Kirk the way I knew him. Like, I knew him way better than you, and I know his stuff, and I can't believe you didn't watch him more. You should be ashamed of yourself. Somehow now she's attached Britton's salvation to his understanding of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
I think why it makes me
stupid.
more mad is because in my head I'm like, this is the person out there saying I'm a Christian.
Yeah. That's why it makes
there's
you mad.
no intention in the far leftist or the far right. They don't care about proclaiming the glory of Jesus.
Right.
The gospel that is not on their head at all. Like there's the people
Christian
singing the
by
song
name,
about
maybe.
that.
Yeah.
No. I mean, like, no, at least the far left. I think probably the far right either. Like if you know about it, like neither of the extremes give a crap about the gospel.
Sure.
Nobody's singing that song in Seattle. I think it was in Seattle. We got Charlie in the neck. None of those guys are probably proclaiming to be believers. In fact, that would be the antithesis of what they're right. So that's one level. The whole other level is someone who's proclaiming to be a follower of Jesus.
Yeah.
And misrepresenting Jesus.
Yeah.
Like that is, those are those ones I have to be quiet about because that's how mad it makes me.
Have you guys, so, a lot of people are saying, well, he was a bigot and he was a racist, and so I'm really glad that he's dead. He spewed hateful speech. Matthew Dowd, his quote that got him fired, like he was fired by the following morning. His quote was this of Charlie Kirk. He says, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or this sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in. You can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions then to take place. And that's the unfortunate environment we're in. So he's saying
that's the kind of BS you get when you watch MSNBC.
Yeah. And that's what he's saying though, is that like, well, he was promoting hate, so this is what he gets. And then loses his job, and then the next day goes, well, I wasn't saying he deserved it. Like, yeah, you did. Like, and what's so funny is all the backpedaling that people do the next day, because what it shows is your position's not even consistent. You don't even like I can't backpedal off of what I say about Christ. If I backpedal off of what I say about Christ, then I don't actually believe it.
Yeah.
And so all these people who will say these things, and then because there were consequences in their job or whatever, now they backpedal. You're like, whatever. Like,
well, I mean, to be completely honest, for the last up until January, for the 4 years previous to that, it was an environment where they could say that kind of stuff and get away with it.
Yeah.
That's what's changed now, and is probably going to change more.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw this dude out of Massachusetts. I'm sure he's probably lost his job by now. But he did a video. This post says that it's alleged, but it's not, because I actually saw the video. And he says, you know what? There's going to be a lot more of these attacks coming up. You know what? Especially at these religious areas. Hey, we've had enough of your kind coming after public schools. So we had enough churches trying to infiltrate public schools. It's about time churches and Catholic schools and religious schools, it's about time they get their turn. I'm just going to sit back and watch people do it to you, and I am going to blink and laugh. I'm laughing about yesterday, Charlie Kirk, and you guys want to laugh about us, gay, trans, lesbian, all this kind of stuff. He goes, you want to laugh about us? We're going to laugh about you. And so like there were a lot of videos the day after of people posting those kinds of things like, man, I'm so excited to see all you right-wing people get what's coming to you. And somebody asked me yesterday, do you think that there will be more violence like this? And I said, yeah, I think our country is very divided. I think that people feel like the solution is more violence. I don't think it's the solution, but like, there's a difference between what you're saying. Like I'm going to defend myself. And I'm walking past the group of people singing that, and I'm going to say something to them, right?
Maybe, yeah.
But maybe what?
I might say something. I don't know, but I might.
But yeah, but I mean, I think that there's a difference between that and going, hey, the solution's just to get a high-powered rifle and take out the guys we disagree with.
No.
And so
I think the tension for me is, I think about this a lot because of all the church shootings. As much as I seem like the dude who would just be ready, when I talk, I'm sure people are thinking like this dude would just kill anybody. I don't think that's the case. Like, I really think that if I ever had to shoot somebody, I think I would do my best to not kill them. I know that's a disagreement too with some people, but, and that honestly is my personal preference, my personal opinion, and my take, because I think I care about the gospel more than I care about the moment. I was telling Jen Otero this on Wednesday. We were talking just about some safety stuff at church, and I forget what I said, and she goes, well, we can get you like a bulletproof vest. And I was like, no, Jen. I was like, I don't care about me being shot.
Yeah.
I was like, I care about everybody else.
Yeah.
I said if because I had mentioned something about her and Ted when I was leading worship a few weeks ago about taking care of us at church, but and the whole safety team. But I said, if by some miracle someone came in and got past the entire safety team, I said, I'm not caring.
Yeah.
At least right now I'm not, maybe soon. But I was like, I'd be running head first into that person coming in shooting.
Yeah.
Because I don't care. Like, what are you going to take away from me?
Yeah.
Nothing. What I care about is all these other, there are people at the 456 I know that don't know Jesus.
Yeah.
I know Jesus. I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Shoot me.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm going to run headfirst into that person, even though I'm not caring, because my heart is like, I want people to have the opportunity to know Jesus. And that's...
Break your guitar over their head?
I would have a hard time with that.
That'd be really funny. Sprinting with a guitar and sets it aside. And then
I've thought through this scenario. Like, what would I use? And that's the easy thing, but man,
it's difficult.
Man. Well, to be honest,
I bet somebody in the church would buy you a new one.
Probably so.
And then
but it's got these
artistically. What we could do is we could take the pieces of the guitar and put it like in a frame.
That would be okay.
You know?
Yeah, that'd be
sweet.
okay. I mean, Cammie she paid for like half of that guitar that she saved up for years.
I know.
That was for our 10-year anniversary.
I know.
Like, there's something to that that's way more than just that. I can get another one of those guitars, but it's just different, anyways. But
keep a bass handy.
See, I think people would take me and go, yeah, you're the person who's just going to like incite violence against the left. No. What I would like to incite is less tolerance for the crap that the left, like crazy far left and the crazy far right do.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Why are we walking by a people group that are singing "We Shot Charlie in the Neck" and saying this is okay?
Yeah.
I get free speech.
Yeah. I'm
for that. My dad immigrated here partly for that reason. I'm for it. It also doesn't mean that I have to let that crap go.
Yeah.
They can say what they want, but this is how I always felt.
But
be willing to say what you want to say.
But
just understand that it has consequences.
But to your point, free speech allows you to tell them, "Shut up. That's stupid."
Right. Yeah. I'm probably not going to incite a fight, but if I say something to them in the same free speech and they come at me, then I don't know what's going to happen, right? You're probably going to see a bunch of leftists hanging from the tree by their nuts. Like, that's probably what's going to happen. And I think people don't realize, because of how strong of a personality I am, that I really do care about people. In fact, let me say this. I know we're getting close to the end here. Let me reiterate what Colin said. The blood of Jesus is for everybody.
Yeah.
It's for the dude who shot Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
It's for people that are trans, who I think, man, Christians, we should have a deeper heart for these people to know Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
What if there was a movement in the next few years where Christians, out of their love for Jesus, begin like spending more time in ministering to people that they know are in their world that are trans with the intention of the gospel instead of avoiding them because you're so bothered by their transgenderism. What if Christians began to be known
and without the primary goal being behavior modification,
right?
Showing them
just
who
the
Christ
gospel.
is.
Listen, it's not any different than your friends who are non-believers who are not trans.
Right.
Neither one of them know Jesus. Sure, there's some cultural implications. I'm happy to talk about that politically, but like ultimately, to your point earlier, Ryan, like the foundation for us has to be Jesus.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I'm going to approach those conversations saying I'm not. The goal is not to affirm.
Yeah,
I think that's the biggest load of shit I've ever heard in my life.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Sorry, I'm done.
apologize.
Like I think Paul did it in Philippians 3, and I feel like this is an appropriate time for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, the Christians and affirmation of that is not gospel centered.
No.
That's you being a nutless wonder trying to like make people feel good. Listen, care more about their salvation than you do about their feelings and about their situation and about them being comfortable.
Yeah.
What if that was the move? What if what we saw from Charlie Kirk's death was Christians across the nation saying, we want the world to know Jesus more intensely? What if Charlie actually inspired Christians to stand up for the gospel instead of just Christians standing up for their politics? And again, I'm not saying you negate your politics. I'm saying that I have an incredibly strong opinion on politics. What I'm saying is, what if there was a rise, because I think this is what would make him happy, a movement in America of Christians saying, we're going to proclaim Jesus no matter the cost.
Yeah.
We're going to proclaim Jesus no matter the situation. And I think you're kind of seeing that. Like I saw a video this morning of some people in didn't look like a fantastic part of, I don't know what big town it was, but there's this dude just like on his phone reporting this. They were just worshiping, looked like on like the county courthouse steps or something.
Yeah.
Like that's baller. Like saying to the world, it didn't look like a safe place, saying to the world, like, we're going to worship Jesus no matter what. This is standing up to the king saying, "Oh king, we serve one God. We're not bowing to you.
Yep.
And if you throw us in the fire, we might die and God might save us. Either way, we're not bowing because we serve God and not you."
Yeah. Yeah. We cannot let the events of this past week, by the time people are listening to this, but like we can't let the events of this past week it just, like, again, I said it earlier, like we're not first political people. We're first people of the kingdom of heaven.
Yep.
And I just think the knee-jerk reaction to stuff like this from Christians is the politicizing of everything. Their posts, their conversations. Like, to your point, Micah, I'm agreeing with you. We live in this government. We live in this country. If you're going to live here, I think that you should have a political mind. You should be able to reason through things. You should vote. You should consider like amendments. You should be able to do those things. You ought to, because we live in this country, but we aren't like if tomorrow we become a communist nation like China and the government changes, the way you interact with the government will change, but my foundation doesn't change.
Nope.
Because I'm still gospel minded.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I get so frustrated by the Christians whose foundation seems to change with every new tragedy, which just betrays the fact that their foundation isn't in Jesus.
Yes.
And so people are going, man, Charlie Kirk's death is going to raise up a new generation of political activists. Okay. I don't hate that. I hope that Charlie Kirk's death, to your point, Micah, raises up a generation of people who will boldly speak truth about Jesus.
People like Cullen, who are very political, but understand that the foundation of their life is Jesus. Who can have political opinions, who can have strong political opinions, but it's not different than their relationship with Jesus.
No. And it doesn't supersede.
No,
that.
it comes out of. I've heard, and I love this, I've heard Charlie talk about abortion, where someone asked him, like, is your stance on abortion because you're a Christian? And he says, well, yeah, my personal opinion on it does come from the scriptures. He goes, but I can make a case for my opposition to abortion apart from the scripture. And so, like, I appreciate that because he's actually acknowledging, like, yeah, it influences how I think about politics. It influences it. But he has, to your point, such a reasonable mind that he's able to say, I can talk about this without even having to talk about the scripture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe that's my heart. maybe this will be inspiration for Christians to start thinking more reasonably about what their opinions are.
Yeah.
And maybe to express them more as opinions instead of truth.
Mm.
I mean, I've said this before. I know this causes a lot of debate, but like I probably feel differently about politically about legislating marriage as a Christian, because if we were going to legislate marriage strictly from a biblical perspective, the only people that could legally be married are believers between a man and woman that are both believers.
Yeah.
Yep.
That doesn't work in our culture. You'd have to tell everybody who's not a believer you can't get married. So I can't say that the Bible is the sole source of why I have the political viewpoint I have on marriage. It doesn't work. That's thinking reasonably.
Yeah.
Right? I wish more Christians would do that. Well, no. And that, I mean, I've been in multiple arguments in the last year about that particular issue.
Yeah.
With leaders of churches who should be able to think more reasonably about it. And then I was sitting on the couch the whole time, and they called me out like, you were standing over people. Like, what? I never got up off the couch.
I was sitting here.
I didn't realize that I was that strong of a personality where I could stand without actually standing. Man, that's impressive. I don't know how to do that again, but I got to figure that out.
That's one of those things they do psychologically where they'll have people draw people in their lives and how they base off heights or what they're doing. They say, oh, okay, you view them as intimidating or scary. And there was a guy who was like 5'6", who I always pictured as taller than me.
Because he was strong personality.
Yeah, I know. And then one time we were hanging out and I looked down and I was like, what are we doing?
You're so short.
I think what people do is they, as you're saying, like lack of being reasoning, is they perceive how to be bold for Christ is to be like, have like an unrelenting stance where they can't grow in it. No, it says it in the Bible. No, it does this. No, God does this. No, I got to feel this way. I've got to say this. And they're thinking they're being bold for Jesus as opposed to just being like building up a wall between like anything that we can rationally think through.
Yeah.
And then we can still be bold for Jesus, but think through what that looks like and process that, right? And I think situations like this with Charlie Kirk, and the various shootings of various things happening, maybe politically charged or just a murder on a train, like whatever this is, these big events will happen, and we have a response, just like we've talked about that the whole episode. And people dive into emotion or they dive into political activism. They try to figure out what it means to be bold instead of having a groundwork for a foundation of Christ to begin with, to base that off of, to base that response off of it. So huge encouragement to you guys like listening and watching, like turn to Christ and like in the midst of this, talk with community, talk with the Lord about what does it look like to respond. I don't want to be passive just because people think that's what a good Christian should do. I don't want to be quiet because that's just what the way that people play out morals. I don't want to be bold for just the sake of boldness. No, I want Jesus to dictate all of those actions, all of those responses. I want my foundation to be Christ, and I want to view others through the lens of the gospel.
Yes.
As a brother or sister in Christ, I want to be able to encourage them and point them to Jesus. As someone who is lost, I want to show them that salvation is found only in Christ alone. And let first and foremost, and let everything stem from your foundation that is laid in Christ. And so,
I also think that like an altercation with someone over something like we shot Charlie in the neck does not keep the spirit from working. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's people's perspective is like, well, we can't like interact with the world because they might not ever know Jesus. Like that's outrageous.
Yeah.
That's stupid. It's a bad perspective.
Agreed.
All right, let me give you a final thought.
Do it.
First of all, this is going to be one of the most pivotal moments, I think, in our lifetime. Like something we're going to look back on and go, this was probably a bigger deal than we even realize it is right now.
Yeah.
In terms of probably the world. I mean, the world's very aware of this. Most of the world. How we respond, I think this is a moment for us, how we respond as Christians across this nation, we'll say it specifically for the United States, how we respond as Christians across the nation, I think tells the story of where our heart is. Like if our heart is for this country more than Jesus, then we respond politically only or politically first. If our heart is Jesus and only Jesus, how we respond doesn't negate that we have political opinions, but we respond with a gospel mind and a gospel perspective, and that's our heart, which doesn't mean I don't express my strong opinions, which doesn't mean I don't call people out for their BS. It just means that my heart ultimately is still the gospel. The second thing and the last thought is, if you saw the video, going to just give this for parents. All my kids except for Hayes saw the video.
Mhm.
Wasn't on purpose. Aiden actually, he's in college, right? So Aiden actually is the one who told me about it, showed me the video first, which was traumatic and shocking. Grayson saw the video. One of his buddies at school showed it to him. I mean, it's not Grayson's fault. It's not the kid's fault. It's on social media.
Yeah.
Hayes didn't see it, but Hayes came home. Cammy picked Hayes up from school. Grayson was still at school at football practice, and I had the news on because it had just happened. And which is funny because like I don't ever watch the news, but I was like, I got to know what's going on. So I had the news on. Hayes sits down with Cammy, and Hayes is like the best of both of us. Of me and Cam. Like, I don't know. He's just like the sweetest kid in the world.
Super cool.
Has zero interest in athletics, which is really hard for me, but like so sweet. Has this incredible heart. So he's never seen Charlie Kirk before.
Mm-hmm.
So he's watching this stuff, and he like is so like caught up in the emotion of the moment that he just starts weeping on the couch.
Mm.
Like he doesn't know Charlie. He just knows that this guy got shot. Honestly, I think that what really broke him was when he found out that Charlie's wife and kids were there. Like, here's a kid with a really sweet heart.
Yeah.
I think as parents, we kind of need to navigate this with our kids. This is something I don't think we can just let slide. We can't just like not talk about it. I think there needs to be a sense where we're able to talk with our kids about it. I think first and foremost, making sure our kids are okay. I mean, if they saw the video, it's whether you recognize it or not. That's traumatic. This isn't like watching a John Wick movie where this is fake. This is that really happened.
Yeah,
that grotesque video that a lot of us saw, like that's real. But then after making sure your kids are okay, I think it's an important time for us to help shape our kids moving forward. Like, I think there's an opportunity for us to raise a generation of kids now as believers that is unlike any generation that has ever been in the United States, who is ready to stand up for the gospel first. I don't think there's ever been a generation like that. I think that someone's going to say, well, the Puritans were. No, I think the Puritans were about the law. I think they were more, I think they were fighting for cultural stuff. They had been robbed of the ability to do the culture the way they wanted, so they moved here for that. So like, I think they were about the moral of it. I think they were about the culture of it. I don't think there's ever been a generation as a whole in the United States that has had at its core the gospel.
Yeah.
And I think we have the opportunity to do that if we as parents are willing to jump in and say, I'm going to help shape my kid towards that moving forward. Even if your kid's super young right now, being able to say like, hey, this dude loved Jesus.
Yeah.
And use it as an opportunity, a springboard to like push them forward. Because if this is a pivotal event, and if we don't utilize this as a venue to move forward for the sake of the glory of Jesus, then we're wasting our time.
Yeah. Wasting this opportunity for sure. Yeah.
Because I think if you don't do it now, when do you do it?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, everybody listening and watching, we'd love to hear your thoughts. We'd love to hear your process. We'd love to encourage you and pray for you in whatever circumstances you're in of what that boldness looks like.
I really am happy to have conversations with people if they want to about that.
Absolutely.
I know that some people are going to have a hard time with some of the things I say, some of the things I said today, some of the things I'm going to say next week.
Yeah.
I really am happy to have a conversation with you. I just want to have a conversation with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
If you want to have a conversation, I'm in.
Yeah.
If you want to gripe at me, it's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you.
It's not going to work out
But
well.
if you really have questions and want to have a conversation, I'm totally in.
Yeah. And the way that you can do that is there's ways you can reach out to Simpler that are tagged in the show notes down below. Our personal pages are also linked down there. So if you want to shoot us a message on Instagram, you're more than welcome to.
If you're at the 456, our business cards are in the back with our phone numbers on it.
Absolutely. Yep. Shoot us a call, shoot us a text. If you come to the 456, come and want to have a conversation, come talk to us. Like we make ourselves available as well. So like there's plenty of avenues to continue the conversation, to seek out encouragement, to seek out clarity, to flesh out a disagreement, whatever that looks like, to have a conversation. So we'd love to talk to you guys. We'd love to engage with you. Subscribe over on YouTube, share this podcast, encourage your friends to subscribe as well. We want to be able to take advantage of some of the monetary resources we can get from YouTube so that this can be a financially self-sustaining podcast, and you can help just by one tap of your thumb, by one click of the mouse. So go over there, subscribe on
and
there. and do all that fun stuff. Follow along, just be engaged. This is a simpler community, right? And so we love your help. We love you being involved. We love the fact that we can call up Stephen at the Garden Audio and say, hey, this happened and we want to talk about it. And we can be out of the studio within 12 hours.
I was like 50-50 on whether the door was going to be unlocked today.
That's right. But we didn't have to break in this time.
Nope.
So a huge shout out to Stephen at the Garden Audio. And hey, thank you guys for being a part of the simpler community. And as always, keep Christ as core. What could be simpler than that? We'll see y'all when we talk about Christian nationalism. Bye.